Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Big Les, joined as always by my co-host, Jake Marketo. How you doing, brother?
Mate, going really well. Looking forward to tonight and the discussion we're going to have around Origin.
Yeah, very keen to get stuck into it. Guys, just a bit of a heads up, we're not going to go into too deep of a review of Game 2. I think it's been overdone now, obviously a week in the past. So we're just going to go through New South Wales. I'm going to go through each player in the New South Wales team, and Jakey's going to tell me whether he'd take that person out or leave that person in. So we'll get stuck into all of that stuff as well. But what I want to kick off with first is, as I get my mic over, lucky it's still got all my audio there. But what we're going to do is we are going to talk about Loz. Now, he made some comments a little bit earlier in the week, or even back into last week, just saying that he is most likely going to be done after this series, and then someone else has to take over in the interim between next year and obviously when Ivan Cleary can jump into the saddle. First of all, Jakey, what are your thoughts, and who do you think are some candidates that come to mind for you?
I think it's a good move by him. It comes with a lot of pressure, and Origin's obviously under the microscope. For that definite 6 week part of the year. But it's a 12 month thing. Like, everyone's always really in some capacity talking about it. At the start of the year, we're talking about form and if they'll play Origin, and then when you're in it, then obviously when it finishes, it's still talking about what if this happened or what if that happened. It's such a good soap opera. I think if you look at Loz's history, it doesn't really show at that level as him as a coach to be that successful. As a player, unbelievable. He's probably top 5 New South Wales Origin players of all time, in my opinion. I think it's a good thing for him to step down and allow a new coach to come in. And just to go on that second part of your question, it looks like possibly there could be Ivan Cleary after his tenure finishes with Penrith as an option. Obviously, Matty Johns last night threw gasoline on a fire about him and Joey potentially or unpotentially putting their name in the ring. Matty sort of just said if Joey does it, he'll jump on board. Whether or not Andrew Johns puts his hand up for it is another question, because I tell you what, the media storm that would come with that, with the Johns brothers being involved in Origin for New South Wales, would just be phenomenal, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I love the thought of the Johns brothers getting in there and taking over. Joey's always very passionate about the Blues, very passionate when it comes to that time of the year for State of Origin. So he'd be the perfect type of guy just to really get the boys ready. He's also been under the tutelage of Gus as well, when Gus was coaching and had a lot of success with New South Wales. Told all the stories about Gus and the speeches before games and whatnot. So he'd know just what type of temperament to bring to the group. Mm-hmm. He'd know what he'd have to do throughout the preparation, and I just feel like he's one of the perfect guys. Like, a lot of respect goes towards Andrew Johns and what he's done in his career. A lot of players coming through the younger grades or obviously look up to Joey, obviously during that period of his career there, the success that he had, and especially in the Origin arena, what he was able to do there. So I just feel like he'd be the perfect guy. Now, it sounds like Joey has knocked it back, and he has sort of knocked it back every time that they've thrown his hat in the ring, which is unfortunate. I feel like, as I said, I would have loved to have seen him in there. I think everyone is under the same boat. Ivan, I think, has to wait until after next year, so it does leave that year gap. I want to throw some names at you, mate. I think the first ones that come to mind is obviously the guys that are in the assistant jobs now, Matt Kings, and obviously Boyd Cordner as well. Out of those two guys, or maybe them both, what are your thoughts on one of those guys taking over the helm for at least a year?
I think those two names are outstanding. I think Boyd would grab the room straight away immediately. Obviously, stepping out of the Origin arena due to head knocks, I think it'd be 3 or 4 seasons ago now, but he played a lot of footy with and against the guys that are actually playing within the Origin arena. So his, standpoint to be given the opportunity to be the State of Origin coach would have some hoops to jump through. Obviously, he does a lot of things with the Roosters. They'd obviously have to give the tick of approval, because I think the New South Wales Origin coach is a full-time gig whether he can work that in with the Roosters or the Roosters allow him to partake in that, or even if he wants to be head coach, that's a whole nother story. Matt King's been in there for a while. He's also been an assistant coach at a lot of great clubs over the past, I think, 10, 15 years. He's been everywhere, it seems like. He's running blue shirts. He's up in the boxes. He's doing a whole heap of stuff. I've got one name, right? And I want to throw this out there because I actually truly do believe in it. Now, you are correct. Ivan Cleary can't take up the position until 2028 if he chooses to. I reckon a 1-year stint would be perfect for Paul McGregor. Now, the reason why I say that is he's so committed to winning. I think that 6-week period for him would be absolutely perfect as a head coach. Now, as a head coach of an NRL team, I do think, and I was fortunate enough to be under Mary, and he actually gave me my second opportunity. He was great. But I think at times it can be hard when you're so intense and you're so direct and the way that you are that sometimes you do have the ability to lose the playing group. And obviously Clubland's completely different. You've got boards you've got to deal with, playing managers, people within the community. All those types of things do come into play. And I think at times it can wear down on coaches if it's not going the way they'd like it to go. But I think Paul McGregor, to get that stint as Origin head coach, would be absolutely perfect. Former Origin player. He's been involved as an assistant coach, a blue shirt over the years. He's a player's coach too. He knows how to get people going. And if you talk about Andrew Johns being around where Phil Gould was, so was Mary. That 90 stint with the New South Wales were just the team. A lot of great players coming through, played with Laurie Daly, all those fellas, the Johns boys, he was in there and involved. Steelers legend, Dragons legend, former coach of St. George Illawarra. So there's a name from left field I wanted to put out there because obviously being around Mary and seeing how he operates, I just thought to myself, I think that would be suited to him to a T.
Yeah, I don't mind the shout, to be fair. Mary has been, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he's been in the NRL scene since his last coaching gig with St. George. I feel like he has had a little bit of a stint off. I'm not sure if he's being an assistant anywhere, if he's over in the Super League at the moment. But, yeah, he'd be perfect. I don't mind that shout at all. As you said, a guy that's played for the Blues, that's obviously been in and around the modern game to an extent. I think where did Mary leave the Dragons? Was that 2020?
Yeah, it'd be 2019 or 2020. I'm pretty sure he left.
Yeah, so look, to an extent, he has been around the modern game. I really don't mind that shout at all. Michael Karagiannis threw up a take on the Chad Townsend's podcast today. I saw a little clip on my Insta feed while I was on my break at work. But he threw up Michael Ennis. Is that a guy that you'd sort of like to see in that role, or think that could suit that, that 6 to 8 week sort of role?
Potentially. You got to have the players buying. I think that's the biggest thing we're maybe seeing with Laurie Daly at the moment. And, this is with me not being inside the four walls there, but you hear things is put into the media. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So whether or not Michael Ennis has the ability to grab the room of an Origin team, possibly or possibly not. The names you did put forward before, Boyd Corner and Matt King, been in there a long time. I think they can and have the ability to grab an Origin room. And I think just the way Mary is and how he conducts himself, how direct he is, how he just breaks down the game individually and how much effort and time he actually puts into it. As I stated before, I think he would be perfect for that. Not to say Michael Ennis couldn't go in there and do a job. I just think there's probably some names ahead of him in regards to taking over the New South Wales gig.
I think with Boyd as well, I'd almost say he has a bit of an advantage when it comes to this conversation, because I'd say maybe 85 to 90% of that playing group that's in that side right now for New South Wales has played with Boyd in that arena. So I think that he definitely has an advantage when it comes to picking guys to play, to coach New South Wales. The guys would have so much respect for him. They've seen him bleed in that arena, and obviously bleed blue. So I feel like that could be the pick, especially for a 1-year stint. He's currently an assistant there, has been for, I think, a little while since he retired. So I think he'd be perfect. Matt King obviously has sort of sat in there for that full apprenticeship as well. So I feel like he could definitely jump in there. Um, in regards to let's take Ivan Cleary out of the conversation for a second, and let's just say every other NRL coach was available. Out of the current crop of NRL coaches that are obviously have played for New South Wales, off the top of your head, or have coached New South Wales before, could coach New South Wales, which current NRL coach, other than Ivan, is most suited to be coaching New South Wales, do you think?
That has played for New South Wales, or just the NRL coaches?
Just NRL. Let's just leave it at NRL coaches.
Well, the first one comes to mind is, and this is again left field, I like Webster from the New Zealand Warriors. Now, you got to think about that. He's gone from the Penrith system to another country, isn't a New Zealander, and he's made that team better and better each year. Players have actually gone there. High top-tier players have gone there due to the fact, obviously, they're from New Zealand, but the way he coaches and can get people up. So if I'm looking at the landscape, Craig Bellamy's there also, but obviously if we take in the seriousness of it, he may be finishing coaching this year as well. I think Webster would almost be perfectly suited to get in there and just flip the whole thing on its head also with his coaching style and obviously how well he is going. Because if you can grab a room, at a club that some people don't necessarily want to go over and coach, and he's done that and done it really well and bought into their culture and got them humming, there's a big tick of approval in itself.
Well, Craig was actually the guy that I was going to bring up solely for the reason that, yes, I don't know, obviously with his health and whatnot, It looks like he'll probably finish up coaching at the end of the year, if not next year. I just feel like with Craig, I'd almost feel like the 8-week period would sort of be perfect for him if he wanted to stay in coaching for the next couple of years, obviously depending on his health and that's the biggest priority, right?
Yeah.
Not having to coach for the full 12 months of the year, I think would be sort of something where if he did want to continue coaching, it could be a really good role for him. And you could guarantee that majority of the boys would have respect for Craig Bellamy and what he's done at an NRL land and obviously in his playing career as well. So Craig's probably one. I'd even say Ricky Stewart.
Madge McGuire. You know what? When you chuck Madge back in there, he's already been successful.
100%. So there's a couple of NRL coaches that could definitely jump in the ring and be very successful. It'll be interesting to see, I guess, who gets the job. We would have loved to have seen Andrew Johns and Matty Johns obviously jump in the ring, but I'll tell you what, even for 2028, mate, I'd love it if you could just pick Boyd Cordner and Ivan Cleary to sort of be two, sort of like Ivan Cleary can do the coaching side of things and implement a game plan, and Boyd can just get the boys up for the game. They could be like a sort of partnership coaching sort of style of things.
Yeah, it could be a tandem coaching sort of role, which may happen too. I think that's probably a good way of putting it too. I've got no doubt that, you got obviously Billy Slater, but he's got all these strings and bows hanging underneath him too. Alfie Lang obviously controls the mood in there. They can't stop talking about that bloke enough. It's hilarious. And, he leads the team songs. They've got all these other fellas in there that are in and around the camp also. And I remember too, just with Joey and Matty, when Billy Slater got given the Queensland head coaching role, I think I know I did. I think everyone sort of just went, oh, fuck. Just with how he critiques the game, and he's, probably the greatest fullback to ever play for Queensland. If if you want to break it down, so I think that sort of factor. If Andrew Johns were to go, I'm going to coach New South Wales this year, that would almost do to Queensland what they did to us, putting Billy Slater in there, because they all know what he is, his IQ, how passionate he is, how he will get people going, how direct he is, and probably too passionate at times. But I think that's what we need. We need to get struck by lightning. And that has the ability to do that for New South Wales.
Alrighty, speaking of the Supreme State, we're going to get stuck into the team for New South Wales. Obviously, lost game 2, need to go up to Suncorp and win in the decider. We're going to go through each position, mate. I'm going to read out the guy that's currently there, and you're going to tell me if you would replace them, and then we can go into a bit of a discussion as to who is going to be some candidates for that specific jersey. The first one, which I think is probably the most heavily discussed, James Tedesco. Are you keeping him in for the decider, or are you taking him out?
Leave Teddy. And just to jump in before we go into it, there's a lot of people saying we need to do all these things. There's probably realistically 3 or 4, and we get our bench right. But I would, to answer your question now, number 1, I keep Teddy there, yes.
I would too. I think his game-breaking ability. I thought he had a really good game on the weekend as well, and shut a couple people up with his club performance too, which we'll get into obviously when we break down the games as well. But yeah, Teddy for me, I'd keep in. I will say though, Edwards had a really good game where, if he does perform like that over the next 2 weeks, and obviously with the media pressure and whatnot, there could very realistically be a change there where Edwards does come back in and they sort of stick with the Penrith system.
Yeah.
But I would keep Tedesco in there. I would definitely keep him in there. Brian Toto.
I would remove.
Oh,
I think he's had
huge.
a really bad. Yeah. But let's have a chat about it, right? They've found him out, right? Game 2, they found him out. I've been waiting for a long time to see if people could single him out like that, because he actually, if you watch him play, unbelievable out of yardage, defensive reads, all these types of things. But if you have the ability where your winger is taller than him and actually can out-jump him, that's what happens. Now, it's a big call, but we need to win, as Queensland need to win. Now, they've got that chess piece in their back pocket now. They can go to that play, or they can create new plays to try and single him out and get him one-on-one with JJ Fafita. So my view would be to put McLean on the wing, which adds height, jumping ability. He's probably taller than JoJo, so he can contest if he does get himself into those positions where he is singled out. I just think it's a better option due to the fact that if you look at game 1, Toto had 3 errors. Game 2 didn't really set it alight and get himself, I think, into the top 3 or 4 players for New South Wales. And obviously they sort of picked apart a scenario and executed to perfection, Queensland. So that would be one move I would make.
Can I throw a smoky at you, mate?
Do it.
I think if Brian Toto comes out, I would love to see Jack Bostock get a crack. I think he's ready. I've loved what I've seen from him the last couple of weeks, albeit it's been at right centre. But he has had a lot of success on that left wing alongside Herbie Farnworth. You put a strike centre next to him, I think that he'd do very well. As you were sort of talking about, we do need someone that can go with the Queensland wingers when it comes to those aerial contests. Bostock's a big body. We saw on the weekend that he can get up there for those high balls as well. Bostock, I think, is going to be a name that gets floated around. I think it's either going to be Casey McLean if his quad's 100%, or I think Jack Bostock could come in. I do think that they're going to stick with Brian Toto. Like, realistically, I think Laurie Daly will give him that opportunity to make up for the previous 2 performances. But I would love to see Bostock get a crack. I think he does deserve it for sure. Tolu Kula.
Well, this is the thing.
Can I just say something quickly before you jump in?
For it. Yeah.
Latrell is going to most likely be out of contention, mate. He's torn his calf.
Yeah, I've heard that. And I want to... So I was listening to Matty John speak last night, and I really, really like what he said, and I agree with it. They need to go with big game players. So I think someone in the centre pairing, maybe Kohler, has to make way for Stephen Crichton. Again, size, length, defensive ability. I'd be putting Stephen Crichton in for Kohler. Not to say that he hasn't done too much, but as it just hasn't worked. Like, if you look at game 1 and game 2, what we've sort of put together, it hasn't worked in their outside backs. Crichton obviously didn't play that well in game 1 and allegedly was not playing in game 2 due to injury. I watched him play on the weekend. He gets another game under his belt this weekend, and if he can put in a 9 or a 10 out of 10 performance, I wouldn't be surprised if he was the centre pairing with Staggs.
Staggs is the one I want to talk about. I do feel like he's had some decent Origin performances, but I haven't watched Staggs in Origin and gone, oh my God, he is blowing it out of the park. I feel like if one of these centres is to go, it's probably going to be Tony Staggs. And depending on the fitness of this bloke I'm about to bring up, you're talking about big game players, I think Tom Trbojevic comes in at right centre.
Yeah, see, I was going to chuck a Turbo on the other wing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
For me, my
That's a big
two
team, so
centres,
I like it. Yeah.
my two centres for game 3, obviously Latrell, he's out. As far as we're concerned at this stage, we'll find out more obviously when this podcast comes out.
Yeah.
My two centres would be Casey McLean on the left.
Yeah.
And then I'd have Tom Trbojevic most likely on that right side, considering that they're fully fit and ready to go. Casey obviously will probably only get one, maybe no games to sort of prove himself there. He might just be a back him in and pick him off the back of what he's done. But yeah, for me, it's Tom Trbojevic is coming in at the right centre. I think Staggs has to come out.
Yep.
It's either going to be Tolu Kula or Casey McLean for me for that left centre position, or Bradman Best.
Okay. So you've written Crichton off.
You
put those guys ahead of Stephen Crichton.
I am a little bit weary just with the shoulder at the moment. He only had 5 runs for 26 metres on the weekend, so he didn't run the ball a lot. I just feel like that shoulder's a little bit of an issue still. But I also am a little bit taken back by the fact that he ruled himself out for State of Origin footy and then played for Clubland.
Yep.
As much as I respect it from a Bulldogs sense, and obviously they need to win a couple games to get into finals, I completely get it.
Yep.
It just doesn't really sit well for me a little bit.
I'm aware of McLean's quad injury, but I'm so like he could be not even put in the team. So my Toto, thing that I put forward before could be null and void. But I'm going basically off. He will be fit. Obviously the Trell's not. Potentially not playing at all for the next 3-4 weeks.
Yep.
Do you think fully fit? Right. Let's say he's going in at 90%, 85 to 90%. Do you think he offers more than what Bradman Best does and Tommy Turbo in the centres at this time?
Casey?
No. Stephen Crichton. Is he more liable to be in the centres over Tommy Turbo and Bradman Best, who you put in there over Kohler? Because I've got Staggs. I don't think Staggs is going, to be honest. I don't see Staggs getting dropped, but I can see Kohler getting moved for another name.
The thing that sort of that I noticed in game 1 as well is that Rob Toyer did run a bit of a muck on Critta in game 1. Got around him a couple of times quite easily, and it was Tolu Kula that actually saved about 2 tries there in that game when Rob Toyer ventured down that New South Wales left. So for me, like I sure from a defensive standpoint, what he's done in Origin previously, Critta, and he's a big game player. I understand it.
Yep.
This year's Critta, though, isn't as great as a Casey McLean, isn't as great as what we have seen from Bradman Best in Origin in 2 deciders now. For me, I'd probably go one of those guys. And Tommy Turbo for me as well. I think if he's even at 90%, he can show that he can play good footy over the next couple of weeks, I just back him in. Mate, I want to just ask you this before we move on. I know that he's obviously no chance because he's been out for ages, but like, let's say that Jack Whiten had been playing all season and didn't get injured. Is his name in this ring?
I'd have Jack Whiten in my Origin team every day of the week. I thought he didn't want to play anymore. Didn't he take his representative?
He did. He did. I think there was one year though that he said that if they absolutely needed him that he'd jump in there.
Yeah.
Might have even been last year, but I think they obviously had other guys, and I think he was also injured during that period as well. So but he's proven in the Origin arena too. Like, I feel like if he was available, he'd be such a Laurie Daly pick.
He's a good pick. Yeah, no, he's a good pick. 100%. Great player.
Marky Mark. So you've obviously got him coming out of your side?
No, leave him.
Leave him? Okay.
Leave him.
Yeah, same here. I think
you can't take that bloke out. He's a fucking genius.
What he offers in attack is just too good for me. And 3 errors in Origin too, sure. But what he offers from try scoring ability, I think is just too good to leave in there. Now, this is a highly conjectured one, mate.
Yes.
Moses.
Yeah, see, I'll leave him. Like, you know how you're talking about your Tommy Turbos and the guys in the centres that you bring in, like your Bradman Best. You can put them in front of those guys, potentially. I think Moses is still the best pairing for Nathan. Now, they haven't, like, it was actually a really good point. Matty John said last night, they're like oil and water to an extent, but we tend to forget Mitch Moses actually won us 2 games, practically, you know, with what he is able to do, kicking and passing, reading short sides a couple of years ago. He has that ability, and I just think if we look at game 2, we didn't lay the appropriate platform for the 6 and 7 to be successful in that second half. We got outgunned. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that a lot of the forward pack take that personally going into game 3. The reason Katoni Staggs plays at Suncorp every second week, so that's not going to overrule him. I know it's Origin and this and that, but that's just like walking into his own backyard for him. I don't think he'll be overruled by the occasion. But if you look at 6, who like realistically, Ethan Strange is a great player, but he's not in form. Like the game yesterday with Canberra, I thought Origin may have excelled his clubland sort of form. Hasn't really done too much. And Mitch Moses has proven he has the ability to win you the game. I just think you can't take him out of the team, in my opinion.
I actually thought he was really good yesterday. The other day for Canberra. I thought that he actually played well. Like every time they went left, they looked dangerous. Even when Melbourne were dominating them and Harry Grant had come onto the field, I actually thought he looked really good when they did venture left. It was a couple of times where they, you know, it was Owen Paddy a little bit too, but they chose Sanders over him a couple of times when they had set plays down that left and they were pretty much ready to go. Like Hudson Young was arguably one of their more dangerous players as well on the weekend, which we'll get to. But I feel like they sort of went to Sanders a couple of times over Ethan Strange, where they had sort of said.
What do you think the reason is for that?
He's the 7, like he's the young bloke. I think maybe Ricky sort of talked to them and sort of trying to get them to back him in a bit more. But like he had I think 7 errors on the weekend in total. So Ethan Sanders, so it was a tough weekend for him. We'll get to it when we touch on the footy, but for me, it's Ethan Strange coming in for New South Wales. I just love the attack. We're talking about game breakers, bringing in guys that can win you matches. I think Mitch Moses at 60%, which is probably where he's sitting at the moment, not match fit. Hasn't played a game throughout this entire Origin series back at Clubland, and obviously didn't play for a month before that. I'm not taking Moses at 60% in a decider. I know that he's done. He's won at Suncorp before in a decider. He's played with a broken back for New South Wales before. I can't do it. When you've got Ethan Strange at 100% and he's already carved up in the 2 games that he's played, albeit the second one he played 20 minutes, and he looked like at that stage when he was on the field, he's one of the more dangerous players on the field. I think you've got to just bite the nail on the head, put him in, pick what's working. Ethan Strange is the guy. I also do feel like as well, everyone, when they look at Cleary and Moses, there's a lot of drawback to the 2023 grand final. It's the point that everyone brings up. Oh, look what happened when Jack Cogger got onto the field in that one game and Cleary obviously went into that second receiver role. And it's constantly brought up as the reason as to why they should throw another halfback in with Nathan Cleary. If you want Nathan Cleary to excel and have his Origin moments as the halfback, pick a natural 5'8" next to him. And that's, for me, is Ethan Strange. Cleary's also now gotten used to playing with a less, how do I put this? A less sort of playing footy 5'8". Like, Luai would run a lot of the shape down that left-hand side for them when he was at the Penrith Panthers, and he would be responsible for a lot of those left-side raids where over the last 2 seasons with Blaise Salungi in the side, Nathan Cleary's been the sole playmaker, the number 1 playmaker, and he's run shape on both sides of the field a lot more often. And Blaise Salungi has just sort of been the out-and-out second fiddle. And Cleary for the last 2 seasons has gotten used to that.
Yep.
To then throw another game manager that's going to play footy on the edges back in there, I almost feel like contradicts the footy that Nathan Cleary's been getting used to the last 2 years, if that makes sense. It's not something that a lot of people have talked about.
No,
But
I agree with you. I think that comes back to coaching, mate. I think
yeah,
someone needs to say that to Mitch Moses, right? Like that's the thing. Like Laurie Daly needs to have that conversation exactly, mate. You're going to be here, dominate that area, and Nathan's going to do everything else, right? You make it ultra, ultra, ultra simple for Mitch. We're going to give you the ball in fifth tackles and we need long kicks. If the short side opportunity's there, do it. If you see an opportunity for yourself, do it. But other than that, let Nathan do what he needs to do. You know what I mean? These are the types of things I think is New South Wales are missing. Like, do you think Billy Slater's having these conversations? I would almost guarantee my right arm, specifically gives each individual in that team the role and says, don't do anything outside of that because if you do, you're breaking down what I've put together. I don't know if New South Wales are having those conversations.
yeah, I do tend to agree. Look, for all of the reasons that I've just sort of spoken about regarding Nathan Cleary and how he's played the last couple seasons, I'd still go Ethan Strange. I think you need a natural 5'8" in there. I'd be picking Moses in jersey 18 in case something goes wrong throughout the game. He can cover both half positions. That's probably the way that I'd go. And if you need an extra playmaker during a game, you just want to bring him on through the middle, Moses. I'd probably lean more towards that if you absolutely need him. So Moses would be in jersey 18 for me. I'd have Ethan Strange at 5'8". Cleary's obviously safe, yeah.
Yeah.
Haas is obviously safe. I think Barnett's under a bit of pressure.
Do you think? He's a freak, mate.
Yeah. Barnett for me is under a bit of pressure. I probably wouldn't pick him for the decider.
No, I put my starting five out. My starting four pack out the other day. I've gone Haas, Robson, Fanua Blake, Hudson Young, Olakawatu, Murray. That's my forward pack.
Yeah.
To start the game.
Yes. And you'd have Yowie coming off the bench?
100%.
Yeah, all right. I'd probably lean more towards Yo starting in the front row with Haas. I'd have Murray 13. I'd pretty much, other than that, it's exactly the same as you. So I'd go Haas, Robson, Yo, Young, Olakawatu, and then I'd have Murray at 13.
Yep.
Do you think Radley is safe?
Not after game two. He's probably up for discussion on that rotation role. But I think also too, they could have gone a different way also. I think after game one, we were lucky. Like, we have to call a spade a spade. Like, we were lucky, So I was a bit surprised that maybe they didn't change it up a little bit in regards to that rotation. And I sort of thought it bit us in the arse a little bit in game two. I think we had too many small middles out on the field at the one time. And not to say Yo isn't, a big middle, but I'm talking like your big men, like your 115 kilograms, like you've Adam Fanua Blake, who got 7 minutes. Payne Haas, like if you got Adam Fanua on the bench, I would assume that's your swap with Payne Haas, because you're not technically losing. You're obviously losing a little bit with Payne Haas, but Adam Fanua Blake's a pretty handy replacement. Like, you need those bigger men on the field at least one at all time, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think I would have said Radley would be under a bit of pressure until Ford did his peck on the weekend.
Yeah. Badly? I said he went off.
I'm not too sure. I think he's gone for scans. Well, as I said, with Latrell, we'll find out obviously by the time this podcast comes out, but it did look like he did his peck early in that game. He was holding it right at the start, and then obviously he had to run off there. That'll be a big watch. I think that's probably forced their hand in regards to probably locking in Radley for game 3, which I don't mind as well. Like, in game 1, he was outstanding. I just feel like it's not so much the player rather than it's the way Laurie uses his bench and what time each person comes on, how many minutes they're playing. The bench rotation in game 2 was disgusting.
It's disgraceful.
Yeah, it was really bad. So I think it's more so coaching this side better. Let me throw a name at you. If Radley does come out, Liam Martin, are you throwing him in?
Oh, can I give you my bench?
Go. Give me your bench.
14's Connor Watson.
Okay.
Yo, Mitch Barnett, Martin.
Okay.
That's my bench.
See, my bench, and keep in mind, one of these blokes will probably never get picked, which is a shame for him, but I think he deserves to be brought in. I would go with Api Coruscant.
Yep.
I would go Radley,
Yep.
Liam Martin, and Terrell May.
You know what? Terrell May's a really good player.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't played, to be honest. That's a good name.
Yeah, I
He's
feel
not
like
even thrown in the mix, really. Like they're just disregarding him.
after the comments on the stream and all
But
that
mate,
drama.
but do you know what? Everyone says something. Like at the end of the day, man, like if that's the way that's just footy stupidity. Like if you're gonna go off something someone said 2 years ago or a year ago, yeah, fair enough. Like it might have caused a bit of a ruckus, and it might be a bit of a media headline for 1 or 2 days. But at the end of the day, you're trying to win a footy game. Like put your feelings to the side. Like seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so 18, would you then have Strange as your 18th man again?
Yes.
I'm going to have Moses.
Yeah.
Jersey 19.
Bostock.
Is Bostock still?
Bostock.
Okay.
Is it Bostock or Bostock?
Either or.
Mate, it's talking, yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'd have Bostock pending he's not in my starting side.
He could start, man, too.
Yeah, I have a real feeling if Toto does come out, the doubt around Casey, I think he's a real smoky. Yeah.
I tell you what, it's going to be a fucking big round of football this week because there's guys that are going to come out raring to go.
Jersey 19, I think could also be Dylan Edwards.
Potentially.
But depending on how he goes over the next couple of weeks, I think he might just be a bit of a safety net as well. Yep. If anyone goes down in the back line, he's played for Australia on the wing. He can obviously play fullback to a very high click. So that'd be probably my Jersey 19 for game 2. We'll consolidate after this potty and obviously put one together to post up on the Insta.
Yep.
Let's get stuck into the footy, mate. Let's get stuck into the football. Starting off with the Knights and the Dragons, 22-20. Mate, your side was in this game so well. You've got to be proud of the effort here from the Dragons. I thought they were very, very good. Newcastle obviously played well too, but the Dragons in defence at stages were very resilient. And I thought our man, who obviously his name was in the headlines a little bit, Luciano Leilua, about him potentially leaving. I thought he was very good off the bench. What were your thoughts on this game?
Mate, it was a game where it got away from us. Now, Newcastle come out the gates. I think it was 12-0 after 11 minutes, and I just thought to myself, oh, here we go. But it looked like there was a little bit of a line drawn in the sand after that, and we got ourselves back into the game. Kyle Flanagan played really well, I thought. I think the halves are starting to gain confidence in regards to their natural instincts now. Like to kick the ball 40 out and have it bounce up on a tee for Terrell Sloan to swoop in and score a try. They wouldn't have done that 10 weeks ago. Now I think they're starting to probably loosen the chains a little bit. Obviously, they're not playing finals footy, so not too much pressure is upon them. I thought Luch was massive coming off the bench. His first run where he just put his head down, busted through, silky little offload. Looks like he's got a bit of a bee in his bonnet. Playing New South Wales Cup last week or the week before coming off the bench. He potentially may play himself back into a starting jersey. There's massive, huge rumours he's going to the Broncos. That's caught fire for about, the last week and a half now, which will be very interesting because it does look like that young Dragons forward pack ain't going anywhere. They look like those fellas are stuck in those jerseys for a little bit now, barring injury and suspension.
Yeah, well, I just love the dynamic of both of those guys on the edge. Hamish Stewart, I feel like he's been a little bit of an aerial threat at stages for you guys. I think Dylan Egan's just an absolute nut trucker. He gets
He's
to a
Liam
ton
Martin
of work.
2.0, do you reckon? He's got a bit of Liam Martin in him.
He has a bit of mongrel about him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I do love it. The Councilman boys were good. We talk about them every week. They're outstanding again. Big Loco, mate, I want to give a shout out to. He was a guy that was obviously requested a release a couple of weeks ago, and now he's just killing it, and you can't take him out of that starting role.
Nah, and that's the thing, mate. Like, he'd been chopping at the bit to be in the team, So I think, to put that out in the media, he wants to go. Then all of a sudden he got the jersey, I think 1 or 2 weeks after that media statement came out. it was good to see, like, okay, mate, well, you asked for a release. Show us you want to be here now because it looks like you're not going anywhere. And he's just put his hand up. And that's all you can want from your forward leaders. And yeah, that what they're starting with, there's just balance all over the park for them at the moment, which is really good. And I think Flanagan and Atkinson are using their edges real well. Hamish Stewart is getting a lot of one-on-one attention in regards to him getting one-on-one with a half. He's got a great offload. I think when he starts to realise how he can use his body a little bit differently, stand and tackles a little bit more and create an offload instead. He's doing a lot of falling offloads at the moment, going through the line. I think when he can sort of start to stabilise himself and get a good pass and offload in those sort of scenarios, I think that'll just add another dynamic to his game. Ben Cray was really good at doing that also. If you remember back in the early 2010s, he was a freak at it.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, Gutherino, easily his best game for the season for the Dragons, I reckon.
Yeah, you can't knock that bloke. I've got a massive rap on him. He just brings so much. Obviously hasn't been to the top of his game in regards to, playing those 9 and 10 out of 10s that we need him to play. He's always been around a solid 7 or 8, but it was good to really see him have that on the weekend. And his communication and energy is just second to none.
Bradman Best, really good as well, I thought, for Newcastle. Obviously, his return this week from injury. Thought he had a really nice game. He laid on a try there as well. I feel like with Bradman Best, it has sort of taken him a while to really recognise those 2-on-1s and obviously the execution, but he's slowly getting there. He's definitely been more of a run-first threat for me during the early stages of his career, but he's really working on that ball playing, and over the last 2 years in particular, he's really starting to nail those opportunities, isn't he?
100%. He's starting to set his winger up, which is great to see. It's another skill set that probably all centres should have the ability to beat one-on-one or hold their opposing centre off and trying to create for their wingers.
Big Fletcher Sharp there at fullback. What a performance from him. The first half in particular, scored 2 tries. Newcastle looked like they were going to run away with it at the start of the game. I was a little bit worried for your Dragons, but Fletcher Sharp, outstanding performance.
Yeah, great player. He's just an out-and-out footy player. You can pretty much put him anywhere, and he's going to do a job for you. He played centre a couple of times this year too, and been a freak. So he's a really handy player for them.
100%. Mate, let's get stuck into the next one, which was the Tigers and the Finns. Finns obviously running away with it a little bit later in the game, but really good game of footy, this one. I thought that the Tigers were competitive at the start. The Dolphins just forced a couple of errors out of them late. And they've got the second man up sort of mentality there for the Dolphins a little bit with Bradley Schneider in there at 7. They looked really good.
Yeah, mate, and to be honest, he probably doesn't get enough of a rap because he's sort of, just keeps himself underground. Christian Wolf's been massive for that club. Like, they were in the shit a little bit, before they've gone on this run. Everyone was sort of doubting this, doubting that. Is his job safe? Why have they signed this person? Why haven't they signed this person? 7 on the trot, isn't it? Or 6 on the trot?
7 on the trot now.
Yeah, and they just look really comfortable playing with each other. Like, they just going out in the field doing their jobs. Their forwards are laying the platform. Cody Nicarima looks like a 22-year-old, just carving up. And he really took control of the game, I thought, on the weekend for them. And Donohue's been massive. He's the glue to that team, I feel. I think he's just a massive inclusion. And the biggest one, I know I've said it a couple of times this year, Jeremy Marshall-King at 9 makes that team so much better.
How far off do you reckon? I know that it's super early in his career and there's a couple of guys in front of him. How far off do you realistically think Kurt Donohue is from being put into that 14 jersey for New South Wales?
I think next year he's definitely in the mix, depending on how he starts the year, obviously, and how the Dolphins start the year. But he's definitely turned some heads, I think, with his season this year, just because he's gone from about here and he's jumped a couple of levels really quickly. Now, no doubt that helps with how well your team's playing also, because you get that little bit more freedom, confidence, people around you, everyone's healthy. I think if he can start really well and the Dolphins can start really well next year, he will definitely have his name in the ring to be in a Blues jersey.
Well, the thing that stands out for me is obviously, one, the mongrel that he has. He is an absolute competitor. He loves getting a couple of late shots in there as well. Young Kurt Donohue, he's definitely got that ticker about him. But I also feel like as well, his tempo at the line. Like, we talk about Isaiah Katoa and his tempo when it comes to ball playing and their spread sets. But, Kurt Donohue's almost like a second guitar when it comes to their shape. Just how easy he squares at the line and sort of, fast and slow. He can really just pick apart defenses as well, and he always throws the right pass. And when Katoa's not in the right positions as well, he can easily just hop into that first receiver role and play that halfback sort of role on their arrow shapes and still look really, really silky. I thought he was huge on the weekend, particularly with Katoa out. Just with the tempo at the line, Schneider had a lot of pressure taken off him, and I almost feel like if you were to pick him for New South Wales and have him in there, you'd almost wouldn't need a Moses or a Katoa or one of these guys as a second halfback for Cleary. You'd have Donohue there coming on at 14, playing with that tempo at the line, and especially with the Penrith system with Yowie, a couple of times when Yowie went to spread the ball as that first receiver, they sort of created him really well because they sort of could predict where he was going to go with the ball and how he was going to play and just how he usually goes about his shape. So that they've really worked out that Penrith system, I feel, Queensland over the last 2 seasons. With Donohue, he's super unpredictable. Very unpredictable, even as silky as he can be with the shape and just the traditional first receiver lock forward type role. Tempo, sometimes he can run as well. He can just catch you off guard with a little bit of anything. So for me, Donohue would be the perfect 14 for New South Wales, and that's sort of where my headspace is. Have you noticed that as well with him watching him the last couple of weeks?
Mate, 100%. He's gotten better and better each week, and that's the biggest thing. And what you said there, right, he's playing with tremendous tempo. I've got no doubt he's probably gone up to Qatar and said, mate, can you teach me a couple of things? Because he does play similarly in his own way in regards to that type of ball playing for the Dolphins.
I want to give Tevita Nafa'u a wrap. Obviously, Jermaine Asako is going to the Melbourne Storm next year. I think Tevita Nafa'u is not too far off grabbing that spot, by the way. I think he's very close to taking that vacant wing spot.
Yeah, 100%. He's definitely putting his hand up to wear that jersey next year and into further years. Sarko for Melbourne's a massive buy. But, he's gone really well, and he's got to string some games together, which is great to see. And, it does help that young fella Bostock's gone to the centres too, because I was assuming Bostock and Asako were going to be the wings pairing for the Dolphins this year.
Yeah, 100%. It has been very interesting to see how this team sort of been put together, and obviously Bostock coming in, to fill in for injury really for Avarillo, who's been out too, and definitely not one to forget. But yeah, they've really put their sideboard together and obviously going on a really tremendous run at the moment. For the Tigers, Luai's been in some good form, mate. I feel like the last 2 weeks for him, obviously had that blinder where he scored 3 tries last week, but laid on a couple in this one and looked really silky.
Yeah, mate, he's sort of taken last week into this week. I think a couple of players didn't actually go with him this week. They looked a little bit... It was like they just fell apart a little bit in that second half. And that was the Dolphins just stayed with it and then accelerated in that last little bit of the game. I think the Tigers have some questions they need to ask themselves, because they were, like, I had them clearly in the top 8, and they have the potential to give the finals a little bit of a run, but it just seems like they hit these games, and their best game and their worst game, there's so much grey in between it still. They've still got to bring those games where they're in the mix, but they're usually losing all of them, where, the really good teams, when they're in the mix, they find a way to get through and push through and get away with those wins. And I thought that was a really big lost opportunity for them at Campbelltown on the weekend.
Do you reckon this side can make the 8 this year?
I do. I actually do think they have the potential. I think they need Dewey back in the team. Like, we must remember that he's like Donohue for the Dolphins, Dewey for the Tigers. I think they look unbelievable when he's in the team. And it didn't help that Jock Madden got taken off early with the head knock. He looked like he got hit by a car with his head. So, there were a couple of curveballs thrown at him, which hampered how they were going to play. But I thought the Tigers had enough. I like Buller at fullback for him. Every time he plays, they're in with the chance. It's just that they're slipping, and I think it's going to apply a little bit of pressure to them towards the back end of the year, but I think they have the ability to do it. Api Coruscant not playing was a bit of a loss for them also.
Yeah, I think so too. I do think so as well. The Titans getting a 1-point win over the Penny Panthers, mate. How good?
Yeah, Massive. That young fella kicked the drop goal. Good on him. What a confidence builder, and what a way to show your coach and your teammates that you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, for sure. I just feel like over the last couple of weeks as well with Zane, he's really he's been one of those young halfbacks, especially we've seen with Sanders, other than obviously him kicking the field goal in round 1 over Manly. It's taken a bit of time to sort of build that confidence, and you could say the same a little bit about other young halfbacks currently in the competition as well. I know for a fact that even Isaiah Katoa, the first couple games there, because he was pretty much thrown in straight away, similar to Zane Harrison. It does take time to build that confidence in. I feel like Zane Harrison has sort of come in and gone, you know what, fuck it, I'm the 7. I'm going to play how I want to play. If I make mistakes, I make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from them anyway. And he hasn't played really conservative like a lot of other young halfbacks do when they sort of get their opportunity. He's really shied away from that. And as I said, he's learnt from the mistakes that he's made in the opportunities that he's had earlier in the season, and really good performance from him. Even from last week, like there were a couple of opportunities last week where the Titans probably could have iced that game, and obviously a couple of errors and a couple of poor decisions on last and whatnot obviously got them the loss. I do feel like with Zane in this one, managed the game a lot better. 3 try assists, 3 line break assists. Very silky, couple of the opportunities that he had ball playing. And the try there on the left of Sami was very silky. And then obviously the field goal as well. To have the confidence as a young bloke to kick that over a Jaden Campbell, I thought was massive for his, I guess, development too.
Oh, 100%. Like, too, I don't want to shit on his parade, but the Panthers didn't have their strongest team out there, so there probably was some things happening out there that probably won't happen if they do come up against a full-strength Panthers team, but he did take his opportunity. I think the biggest thing is, too, what you just nailed. Josh Henne's probably said to him, hey, mate, you've got the 7 jersey. We're going to ride with you. Just play how I want you to play, and if you make a mistake, flush it and get ready to go again. Now, that does something very different to a player who knows that he's not going to lose his jersey due to 1 or 2 errors, especially as a half, because all it is focusing on the next job. Now, the best way to fast track yourself as a rugby league player is when you got a coach who backs you, you get to experience the game on different speeds, different parts of the field, and different errors and lessons that come along with it. Because when you get put back into that position and you start to see things that you had seen before when you had probably made an incorrect decision, more times often than not, it'll take you 1 or 2 times. But then when you start making the right decision, all of a sudden that becomes your playbook now. And then you start to see, okay, I can do this now. That's there in my repertoire. Maybe I'm going to try this pass or this kick or go down this short side while this side's open. And then all of a sudden the game starts to develop because they're gaining the experiences and the lessons through mistakes and then rectifying them with the right plays off the back of it.
Yep, 100%. Look, not too much to touch on here for Penrith. As you stated, it was not their full side. Thought Liam Henry went extremely well there in the middle, had some big minutes and knocked out nearly 200 metres, which was insane. Edwards was probably the biggest watch for me, though, for this side. I feel like a lot of chat around the New South Wales fullback jersey, as we stated before. He had a huge game, 28 runs, 312 run metres, 8 tackle busts. He was really, really good at the back there at fullback, I thought.
Yeah, strong. He always plays well. So it's a good little hit out for him. And once I suppose Penrith get their team back out there, it'll just be business as usual.
Yep. The Dogs obviously going to Golden Point as well. It was a great end to your Super Saturday, by the way. 2 Golden Point games was awesome. But 13-12 the final scoreline in this one. For me, I feel like the biggest takeaway for Manly, especially if they're going to be a top 8 side, I listened to Nathan the Guru, so shout out to him for this one. I thought he hit the nail on the head in regards to if they are going to be a top 8 side this year, they've got to nail that last couple minutes of games and getting themselves into the right spots, because against better sides, if you get put in a similar position, it's going to end up like this. The Dogs didn't kick a field goal against you. The Panthers will certainly do the same. So just getting yourselves in the right spots when you have those opportunities is so key. A key example obviously being, that Golden Point, the first opportunity that they got. Third tackle, Brooks was in key position. Oh, that's Fogue. Sorry, the first one, I think. Fogarty was in key position. He decides to run the ball. Then Brooks gets in a really good position on fourth. Brooks decides to run the ball. All of a sudden, they're too close to the try line.
Yep.
And Fogarty was in a decent position. He got the ball, but by the time he got the ball, the Penrith chasers were already too far up, so he had to run the ball as well. So little moments like that, you've just got to hit the nail on the head and execute it much better.
100%. And like, when you look at Manly, they've had such a successful season since Foreign comes in. There was always going to be a period where they were going to go through a learning stage. Now, they put so many wins on the trot. There always is a period where it tends to plateau and you go through these little struggles. Now, I've seen them beating the Bulldogs, to be honest with you. Now, I haven't seen Luke Brooks and Fogarty play like that together yet. So I've got no doubt that's a perfect scenario for them moving forward on what not to do next time. Fogarty did also miss conversions, which he usually slots them. That would have given Manly the win also. Tommy Turbo misjudging his slide where the Bulldogs ended up getting a try. So all these little things that are starting to factor in now, I think are going to play into Manly's favour moving forward because I think they're going to be quick to learn. And Kieran Foran knows exactly what he needs to do because he'll put these things in front of the players and go, here's the scenario, here's what we did, here's what we do next time around. And I think they'll learn very quickly, and I've got no doubt they'll be back in the winner's circle very shortly.
The one thing I want to touch on here with the Bulldogs is obviously in the presser, Cam Serraldo was asked why he moved Critta to 5'8" and Burton into the centres. His explanation was that he wanted to take pressure off Burton and just get him playing the best possible footy that he can play, running the football. You'll notice in this game that Burton did not kick, I don't think, really once. Yeah, Burton didn't have any kicks in this game. It was all Stephen Crichton and Lockie Galvin. What were your thoughts on that decision there from Cam Serraldo, and did you like it? Do you think it's something that they can roll with if they're going to be a top 8 side this year?
I don't know what they're doing. Do you think they know what they're doing? They have to have an idea on what they're doing. Like, I don't understand that. What do you mean take pressure off Matt Burton? Matt Burton's a great player. Like,
Yeah.
I think he's telling the media one thing while doing another. Because that doesn't logically make sense to me. Matt Burton can play under pressure. Matt Burton's a big game player. So just come out and say what you actually did it for. If you're just trying new things on the go, say that also. But I understand they don't want to be as truthful as they possibly can with the media due to how things are being spun at the moment. But they're just going to keep digging and digging at you when you're doing things that are so from left field. It actually raises questions itself.
It might be a bit of a weird question, but I'm going to throw it to you anyway. Do you think this is a little bit as well of Critta just wanting to be the man and have more responsibility in this team?
I don't know if he's like that. I truly don't know if he's like that. Like, I think he already he's already got that aura within the team. I don't think him playing 6 or him going and requesting to play 6 is going to make it more for him. I think he's already got that stature within that playing group and club.
I sort of think so too, but with how good Burton's kicking game is, like, to throw him in the centres and to just not get him to kick at all, like, I would have understood him going into centre and then still kicking the footy and, getting that ascendancy. But for him not even to kick at all and you're just getting Burton to run the footy, albeit he had a great game, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me. Stephen Crichton, who was injured and should not be playing really at all, is now playing 5'8", where he's getting through more work, especially defensively, against Hamole Olakawatu, mind you, with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, it's maybe maybe Crichton asked to be tested in regards to defence to see how well he showed. Like, there's all these conversations we have no idea that potentially could have happened. But when we're looking at it from an outside lens, that doesn't make sense to me. And in some cases, it actually makes their team not as good. Burton not kicking the ball, putting those spiral bombs up 3, 4, 5 times a game, they have the potential to get the ball back due to how well he hits those spiral bombs. There's all these little things that are in play when they're doing this, but they got away with the win. I thought Galvin was really strong also. I actually think Galvin's been really strong for them for the past 4 or 5 weeks.
I think Galvin actually probably won them that game.
Yeah, he's done very well considering, they've been up and down and there's a lot of things coming out of that club. I think he's been a bit of a shining light for them this season.
It was actually pretty funny to watch. not a lot of people would have noticed this, but Galvin obviously puts that kick in for Critta to score the try. Critta did not look happy at all. Even though he scored the try, I think he didn't like the fact that Lachie Galvin kicked so early in the tackle count. And you can see him as he's walking back to kick the goal, he called Lachie Galvin over and it looked like he was about to sort of have a discussion with him or potentially even give him a little bit of a spray, which was funny. Not a lot of people probably would have noticed it, but very interesting. It does seem a little bit like there isn't a lot of trust there still between the two. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, there's potential, mate. It just that club just looks like it's disjointed in a lot of areas at the moment. So, like, I've got no doubt that's one way you could be looking at it.
Warriors obviously getting the job done over the Cowboys. A really good second half performance from them, and obviously the last 20 minutes they sort of shut them out there. The Warriors, what were your thoughts on the Wars in this one? Who stood out for you?
Chance scoring 3 tries in the first half, 4 altogether, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Big game, man. Big game.
What a great way to christen the Christchurch Stadium. How good is that stadium, by the way?
It looks amazing, doesn't it? Hopefully I can get over there and watch a game of rugby league in the near future. It looks absolutely like a great stadium to watch footy at.
We'll put it on the momentum card. We'll both go over there, mate. Sounds good.
Just chuck it into the universe, my friend.
Yeah, Chance was great. I thought that he was very, very good. Obviously, Christchurch looking to get another team in the NRL. Sounds like they're going to be called the Southern Orcas. Which I don't mind as well. A bit of meaning behind, obviously, Christchurch and whatnot. I put up a little concept the other day on the Insta just as to what that could look like, but misspelt orcas. Apologies for that. Chance was good. Chance was very, very good. 200 metres, obviously scored 4 tries. Really good way to christen that stadium. And, deservedly so as well because, like, he's been struggling with injury too, Chansey, especially this year. But his versatility just goes on show again, like fullback. Funny enough, right? Like you look at this year so far for Chance. Obviously played in the Pacific Champs in the centres, I believe. Then plays in the All-Stars game at 5'8". Then comes in at fullback to start the year for the Warriors, and he's now playing on the wing.
Yes.
He's played pretty much every position, I think, now in the back line other than halfback, I think they said on Fox the other day.
Yeah,
which is just crazy to show his versatility in this side.
100%. And if you look at the Warriors team, Tuivasa-Sheck's out for the season. Tanner Boyd, Ford potentially. Barnett came back halfway through the season. So they've had not their full strength on the field, I'd like to say, at all this year. Maybe 1 or 2 games, depending on how far back we can go and think about that. But that just shows how Webster's got that team going. Like, I tipped the Cowboys. The Cowboys are humming at the moment, and it was a very good game of rugby league. But the Warriors didn't really look like losing that game. Do you know what I mean? So, like, for Chance to go in all these positions, it just shows, he even though he's such a great player, he hasn't had the potential or the opportunities to lock down that specific spot this year due to all the players that have been in front of him. But now, because there's a couple injuries, it gives him an opportunity to shine. And who knows who's behind that bloke if they get their next opportunity, because it just, at the moment, their depth is endless, and the people that are coming in, they all look like first graders. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. They've got a good little nursery there now at the Warriors. They've won, I believe, I think they've won the past couple junior competitions. I think they've won Cup, obviously, last year. Fleg, I think they've had some success there as well. So they've got a really good nursery over there. One other thing I want to touch on with the Warriors, mate, obviously always bringing it back to Origin chats here on Momentum. Wade Egan, how close is he, do you reckon?
Well, I've got people in front of him, but he's got the potential to play. He's a very crafty player, very deceptive. He throws a great pass, strong in defense, very smart.
I feel like he could be our little Harry Grant. Like, just creativity in and around the ruck. Like, he could be that type of player.
Mate, it's going to be... I'm looking forward to seeing what the New South Wales size looks like, to be honest. Like, I'm very, very eager to see it.
Only thing I really want to touch on here for the Cowboys, mate. Shout out to my boy Jackson Purdue. I have been pretty critical on his defence this year. He got moved into 5'8". Obviously marking up, I think, against Niokore, I believe he was up against.
Yep.
22 tackles, 0 missed.
Good on him. That's strong too, because he's only a little fella still, but he's he's hanging in there, and that's a big team. New Zealand, they've got some
Yeah.
big boppers.
Yeah, super impressive. I thought that was a real highlight for the Cowboys. Storm 42-20. The Raiders were in it for the first 20 minutes, and then as soon as Harry Grant gets onto the field, it's over.
Yeah, it was. Mate, it ended up being a training run almost at times for the Storm. Munster was strong. Canberra, 16-0 they flew out to. And then all of a sudden, Harry Grant came on and just started dissecting the defensive line. And, yeah, Melbourne ran away with it. I didn't see Melbourne actually losing even when Canberra had 16-0. Cameron Munster's 250th and it's old boys' day. Canberra had, looked like they were going to win, but I'm sitting there going, they're going to click soon. Harry Grant's still got to come on. He'll give him a little bit of direction, and it was only a matter of time before Munster sort of found his groove too. Did you see Munster too? He was getting a little bit shitty when he was in at 9 a couple of times, and he started doing the points at the referee and shit like that. It was pretty funny. He was just showed that he was emotional for the outing.
Yeah, it was so good for him to obviously get that win. I was a little bit worried for him in the first 20 minutes too.
Yeah, obviously when out of a cannon.
When the Raiders were up 20-0, I was like, oh no, don't tell me that this is going to happen for Munster. But yeah, they obviously they played up really big second half, and they dominated the Raiders in this one. We talked about Ethan Sanders already, so we won't go too deep into Canberra. But yeah, pretty disappointing, right?
Yeah, it is. Mate, they've gone from minor premiers last year to not even. I'm going to say it. I don't think they can make the finals.
Yeah, I probably
which is massive. Do you think losing those back-to-back games has affected their confidence going into this year? Because if you look at it, they were flying, mate. Minor premiers, they were. People were going, who were Canberra playing in the grand final last year? That's how well they were going. Then all of a sudden, straight out the back door.
This is going to sound really harsh. I think that if they had kept Fogarty at the club, they're probably in the top 4 this year.
Fair call, though. That's a good conversation. It's a good conversation.
There was an offer on the table there, club friendly option for him to stay on for another season.
But he got 3 up at the other joint, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think also he was happy to stay at the Raiders. But I think that it was a club option. And I think that they made the call to go with Sanders. So it's tough. But look, I think that they would have gone a lot better having a experienced halfback in there, particularly with Fogarty's kicking game too. Like we didn't really talk about that when we talked about Manly, but Fogarty's kicking game in that one was very, very clutch in some key moments there to get Manly staying on the ball and in possession. So credit
That's
to
what
Fogs.
He can do.
Yeah. Tell you what, speaking of Munster, but in particular, speaking about Lindsay Collins, you see that Lindsay Collins has got his teeth done as well now?
I did notice that. I also noticed too, he wears the same mouth guard as Victor Radley. They've got the bottom and the top for concussion protocol. That's to stop their jaws creating.
Oh, is that what that was? I thought that was his teeth.
That's what it is.
I thought he got his teeth done.
No. That's the mouth guard that they're wearing at the moment. So it's a concussion protocol mouth guard where they've got the guard on the bottom and the top. So like when you come into contact, your jaw doesn't sort of like jam. It's already sort of clenched. Right. Yeah.
Okay, because it was really white, and I was looking at him obviously in that slow-mo run, and I was like, oh my God, he's just done a Munster and he's got his teeth done. Credit to him though. Yeah, look, he had a great game in this one. Not just the try, but just he was so he was really alert, really physical. I thought he really took it to that Sharks pack when he got on the field, and the far wide as well through the middle. The Roosters middles were outstanding.
Yeah, strong, mate. Nafahu Wide, I tell you what, for the New Zealand team, having him and Fisher Harris leading them around the park at the end of the year in the World Cup, that is a good 1-2 punch.
Mate, their whole pack is just, it's unfair. It's almost unfair.
Tarpanay at lock, I think.
Fish, Leota, Nafa'u White. They were, Tarpanay. Who else do they got? Leo Thompson.
Mate.
Aaron Clark.
Oh, good player, man. Really good player.
Their pack's disgusting. Oh, that's too much.
They've got a good forward pack, man.
Do you reckon they'll bring the 6-man bench into the World Cup?
Geez, good question. I'm not sure.
That's going to be big as
Potentially,
well.
you think so? Wouldn't you? If they're playing in the NRL, they go. I don't know. International footy is different though.
Yeah, because I don't think they've brought it in the Super League
Because
yet.
the Pommies don't do it, do they? They
Yeah,
don't play
no.
with the 6-man bench, so I think it'd just be a normal 4. You think?
Yeah. Oh, look, back to the Roosters. One more guy I want to give a shout out to in this one. Obviously, Marky Mark, he scored 2 tries in this one. He was outstanding. But the guy I want to give a shout out to is Nat Butcher. He has been the unsung hero of this side. I feel like him, obviously, last couple of weeks coming through the middle has been really good, but played 80 minutes on this one, obviously with Angus Crichton out on the edge there. He was outstanding. I thought the level of intensity that he brought, his kick chase, he's going to be in this side for years to come, Nat Butcher.
Yeah. Yeah, what a Mr. Fix-It he is. He's actually had that role for a long period of time, and he always goes in and gives his heart and soul to the team if he's playing 1 minute or 80. So good on him,
mate. For the Sharkies, Nico Hines, I thought was easily their best. I thought that he was super silky. It was just the errors, unfortunately, late in the game, and a bit of argy-bargy there. They sort of got in too much feeling a little bit there. There was obviously the Ronaldo Mulatalo and Marky Mark little battle there, which was cool to see, but I almost feel like there was a lot of emotion in it for the Sharkies towards the end of the game, and that led to a couple of penalties, and the Roosters got in good ball, and that was the story.
I think Ronaldo's energy may have dictated that. It looks like he's the mood setter for that team, and I think he got lost in his emotions a little bit there. He got a bit frustrated. There was a drop ball, and obviously Marky Mark out jumped him on one of the plays. That actually fed into the Roosters' capabilities to want to score against them. It almost gave them energy. So, I think Ronaldo's a great player. I think he'd be such a good teammate, but at times he has to probably learn, when to and when not to, start to attempt to dismantle someone's mindset out on the field, because it actually backfired, I thought, for him on the weekend. Great player though.
Yep, 100%. Let's get into your tips for round 17, brought to you by our good friends at BearBet. We had the first game, the Eels taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. South are the favourites here, $1.50, without the team list obviously out just yet as time of recording. Eels, $2.60 there. Combank Stadium. Latrell was supposed to come back for this game. He probably will not now due to the calf injury. What are your thoughts? Where are you going in this one?
I think Parra will get home in a 1-12 game. I think Mitch Moses will set it alight. And I like Volkman. I think Volkman's been outstanding for Parramatta this year.
Yep. Yeah, I think he has been good. Yep. I don't know if Moses will be back. I hope he is. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to go Rabbitohs 1-12. Titans and Dogs. The Dogs are the favourites here at $1.92. The Titans $1.94. So the bookies aren't really separating it too much. I think
Where Titans, are they playing, mate?
It's at Seabus. I'm going Titans.
Yeah, so I'm going to tip the Titans there. I like the Titans, yep.
Tino back. I think that's going to be a big game. Broncos and the Roosters. The Roosters are the favourites at $1.67 at Suncorp, by the way, to the Broncos $2.22.
I so want to badly tip the Broncos, but it's just like there's no confidence in there. I'm going for them. Suncorp. Yeah, I'll go the Broncos. It's got to swing for them at some stage. I'll give them another week. I'm terrible at this, mate, because I tipped the Dragons for the first 10 weeks and they didn't win a game. So I get too emotional to pay. I'm going to go the Bronx.
I'm going to go Roosters. Fins up, obviously, against the Warriors. $1.60 for the Dolphins, $2.35 for the Warriors.
In Queensland?
Suncorp.
Oh, I'm going to go the Warriors. I think they'll knock them off.
I just think Dolphins dry track. It's 3 p.m. on a Saturday. I'm going to go the Dolphins.
Okay. That's 2 good games of footy, man.
Yeah, so good. The Cowboys and Panthers. Panthers are the favourites at $1.28 to the Cowboys, $3.70 at Queensland Country Bank. It's Panthers 13 plus.
Yeah, you can't go past the Panthers. They're too well oiled.
Storm and Manly. It's at 4 points. I'll be going to this game. $1.62 for Manly and $2.29 for Storm.
I'm going Manly there, man.
Yep, same here. Raiders and Dragons. It's $1.29 for the Raiders. $3.66 for the Dragons.
I'm on the Mighties.
That's disgusting.
I'm on the Dragons, mate. Is that down in Canberra or are we at home?
Yeah, it's GIO, so it's going to be pretty chilly there. I'm going to go the Dragons as well. I think $3.66 is such good value.
That's great value.
Knights and the Tigers. Knights $1.42 to the Tigers, $2.88.
Yeah, I got the Knights.
Yep, Knights to get the job done there. There you go. That's another episode of Momentum. On Track Meals and Breathe. The code for 10% off is Momentum. We'll see you guys in the next one.